up, guys? This is Adam from esportsheaven.com, and I'm here with Red Bull Snake Eyes. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, okay. That's good to hear, man. So, obviously, you entered Brooklyn Beatdown, ESL One New York 2016. How did it go? Walk me through your matches a little bit.
Well, I came here this morning. Actually, my pools were supposed to start at 2, but then they some issues happened, and they switched it to 12. That kind of caught me off guard because I wanted to eat and, things like that. But after I started playing, I started to get more comfortable. You know how once the train gets running, it keeps going, right?
Full steam ahead.
Yeah. So we started playing, and I was doing really, really good my first 3 matches, and then I ran into Knuckle Dude. Yeah, and Guile, that's a character that I don't have much experience with in this game.
Right.
Also, like, as I was playing him, I could clearly see exactly how he was shooting sonic booms, but I couldn't really tell where they were on the screen. So it was like very complicated to adjust to where the positionings of his fireball was, and I kind of just got zoned out, And so second game I made the switch to Zangief. And Guile Zangief, there's no game where Zangief beats Guile. This is just a bad matchup by nature. So, and considering how Knuckle Dude, he's a really good player with Guile. I mean, obviously that's his main. Right. But not in older Street Fighter games, but he did pretty good. And that match, I feel like I need to come up with a new strategy in that game in that matchup because. It didn't really feel like I could do much in certain ranges, until I got close. And there's no easy way to get close. So I feel like either I might stick it out with Ryu or stick it out with Zangief. I'll have to make sure what I do.
I was going to ask you about that in terms of if you're thinking about the strategy, is it like a character answer? Because you've toyed around with Zangief, Ryu, even Alex a couple of times. Is it like you need another character, or do you think that you can do it with Ryu or Zangief?
I feel like I can do it with Ryu or Zangief, but you playing 2 characters? Here's the thing. I want Zangief to be my main character, right. And then I want to play Ryu like he's my main character too. But I feel like that's really hard to do because you develop instinctual habits with Zangief because he's such a character specialist heavy character that you absolutely need to be spot on with everything you do. Right. But then when you switch over to Ryu, you start thinking about whenever someone jumps at you, the thought of lariat goes through your head at first, or the thought of crouch fierce, and it's just confusing for me sometimes, So I have to try to pinpoint which character I want to use against whoever my opponents use.
Right. And you're one of the only people that seems like that is playing Zangief. There's a couple of people out there, but he doesn't seem to be that much popular of a character, nor do most of the grapplers in the game. Yeah. Do you think that's just an inherent flaw with Street Fighter V, or do you think that there's something else to the game that maybe people aren't putting enough time into the characters?
Here's the deal with Street Fighter V. Okay, it's vanilla status, so of course it's gonna have its broken things. I mean, I'm pretty sure 2 years down the line we're gonna look back and be like, yo, Street Fighter V vanilla was so ridiculous. Like, do you remember, et cetera, et cetera. But this is the first game I've encountered where people don't play what they enjoy. They play what allows them to win more. Right. And I don't disagree with that, but I just don't want the passion to be taken away from the game. So I feel like, closing the tiers would do the game justice, and it would allow certain players to play who they like. And, I just love balanced games, like Ultra Street Fighter 4 before Elena was in there. Right. Let me make sure to, get that right. She was the end of Street Fighter 4, she destroyed the game. She was the intro into Street Fighter 5. But I feel like it's an amazing game at its core, and it just needs a few adjustments before it becomes a really great game.
Do you think that people are playing to win, as you say? Is that just because it's a new game and it's just like that first vanilla, as you say, or do you think it's just because of all this esports money that's come in, the Capcom Pro Tour, Capcom Cup, at the Mandalay Bay at Evo? Do you think that really has to do with it?
It's definitely the money. That's first, but then it's a bit of everything. It's a bit of people wanting to compete, people wanting to see the top players at tournaments. I mean, there's not a lot of esports games where you can go out to the tournament and see the top players. You know, right. You have you have CS:GO where these guys, they have the top players behind. I don't know. I honestly don't know where they have the top players, but they're just generally not in the crowd. Right. Same thing for League and a lot of MOBA games, but that's part of the culture in the FGC. So that's what promotes players to come out, along with the biggest portion of it is the CPT. That's definitely the biggest draw of this Street Fighter V. But for me, I just like to come out to tournaments and hang out with the other players and just compete. And I'm a very competitive person. I love just playing anyone, who's good. It's very interesting to me.
So going off of that, you do really enjoy the game, but there are some people who might think that you haven't performed as well, considering how insane some of your results were in Street Fighter. Let's be honest, there are some days you're just zipping up body bags. Just, you know how it goes. Yeah. Are you personally disappointed in how you've done, or do you kind of feel like, I'm still filling out the game? Where are you at in terms of your progress? How do you feel about it?
I feel like certain situations in the game happen, and then it sort of discourages me to actually play the game, but I continue to play. And right now, I do feel a bit, when I'm playing, I feel a bit sluggish in the game. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, Zangief is pretty slow, but besides that, there's something else that kind of bothers me about the game, and it prevents me from playing really fast. But something else that's been happening is every time I lose at a tournament, I come back with a better strategy, a better strategy. And it seems like someone always has something different. It feels like I've discovered everything, and then there's always something new that pops up. In Street Fighter 4, you couldn't surprise me with anything, But at the same time, I didn't play vanilla Street Fighter 4. I played the game months ahead of me even entering the tournament. So I feel like that's kind of what's going to happen in this game, along with updates happening and rebalancing. And Zangief, I don't know how people feel about the character, but I feel like he's very lackluster. Not gonna go into full detail about that, but
you could if you want to.
Well, one example is, and this is just one example. If he lands his light SPD, if he gets in on you, lands his light SPD, he has to do it again. I don't think any other character in the entire game does a special move and has to get in again. They stay on top of you, and that's that's what I realized what Zangief's weakness is. In Street Fighter 4, he stayed on top of you when he he was -1 after Green Hand from SPDing you, but yeah. Point being, such a fast-paced game. You need a character that just stays on top of your opponent, who can corner, carry, another thing Zangief doesn't have. And but it just feels like he's a character who's been through 3 balance changes in starting off in the game, and then everyone else is still a vanilla character. Right. Yeah. So everyone has their gripes with their characters, but Zangief is like at an all-time low in this game. So. Right.
So is it kind of like you feel like he always has to win neutral? Like even if you win neutral and then you get that hit, and then it just gets reset, kind of thing?
Well, yes, I do feel like that. Like for example. Well, here's the thing. His combo damage is very low, but he doesn't get combos from any relevant buttons he presses in the neutral game. So he's probably, if you're walking back and forth, he's never going to combo you. Right. He's going to have to toss out like Fierce Punch or hop into SPD. Very, very risky playstyle. Other characters have very confirmable, moves into special attacks, and I understand with Zangief comes risk, right? But he wasn't necessarily like this in any other Street Fighter game. He was a very, very footsie heavy SPD, like confirm that you're standing there. Oh, gotcha, and he's just very different. He feels more like Hugo. He dashes. Hugo dashed at you. SPD jumped. He had a lot of single attacks besides clap. He had a lot of he had a lot of single attacks that did work, but. Zangief is a lot different in this game, and I'll stick with him definitely, but I just need to come up with a different strategy.
Right. I feel like that's a lot coming from you, because I'm pretty sure you played him Super Turbo, right? So you've been playing this character for a while. It's like ingrained in your muscle memory almost. So I definitely hear you on that. But other than maybe changes to Zangief and maybe grapplers in general, is there anything in-game that you think that deserves to be addressed, especially as we're closing in on the year of vanilla Street Fighter V?
Well, they lowered the lag a little bit, but they're probably going to lower it even more after Capcom Cup. But that's not going to ultimately fix what people suffer from in this game, like dashing into throws and so. That's going to be strong. It's just not going to be as strong as it was before, which is exactly what we need because it's pretty ridiculous right now. I feel like a lot of characters have some things that need to be looked at. Right. Like, you know, so right now you can pretty much cancel any attack from a. You can cancel into V trigger from any attack.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be like that in the future.
Really?
There's going to be a lot of in every other Capcom game. There's been a lot of restrictions. You know, oh, you can only cancel it from this move or this move. Right now, it's any move. It's like this game is very, you know, general and vanilla status right now. Right. And later down the line, I mean, if you think the game is balanced right now. Just think about what changes can they make, you know, and that kind of seems like the only thing they could do, you know, rather than just completely nerfing certain attacks. But yeah, I feel like those are some of the changes we're probably going to see, and you know, there hasn't been any infinites discovered or anything like that. I mean, Urien has a pretty nice loop, like a 5-hit loop or something, but he's not cheap or anything. He's not broken, anything like that.
So outside of that, like going maybe outside the game, do you think there anything that Capcom should change with the Pro Tour, how Capcom works? Are you kind of satisfied with how esports everything is now?
I feel like they don't really have to wait until Capcom Cup is over to make changes. Right. And they've already been making changes to the game. I mean, they're not big changes, but they're pretty basic, you know, like fixing a glitchy hurt box and stuff like that. I mean, you could change it. There's no problem, you know. I mean, it's going to throw certain people off, but it's not going to be too big of a deal if they did that. But some of the changes I feel like they could make is, I know it's not a team-oriented game, but I think coaches should be okay. One coach on the stage with you should be fine. Okay. I mean, obviously, if one player had a coach and then the other player didn't have anyone to be a coach, that would be sort of unfair, and I can see the confliction there. But I feel like it's just more esports to do that. You know, have someone back in the back of you, like giving you confidence. I mean, it would be nice if everyone could have a coach, you know. Yeah. But I mean, obviously everyone can't do something like that. But yeah, like Capcom could address some of the more technical issues instead of just giving us a character and telling us to shut up. Yeah, I mean that would be nice, but you can't ask for everything, you know. Right. But yeah, I can't really. Other than, you know, they've been doing a pretty good job. You know, it's just a few things that you look at and you're just like, man, I wish this was a little different. Right.
So going off of that, in terms of having coaches, usually when we think of coaches, usually like your friends or something like that, you know, or even maybe a rival, but you guys have that friendly rivalry and you want to face each other, something like that. Yeah. But, you know, if you look at regular esports games or even traditional sports, they have dedicated coaches. That's all they do. Do you think that eventually we're going to get to that point where each player has their own coach?
Street Fighter in general is different because it's a one-on-one game, so it's not very team-based. So I feel like that would be a lot different. Right. I don't think it will ever happen. I mean, I want to see it happen, but I don't think it would. Also, I don't think it's necessary, you know? People are too caught up in playing the way they want to play to listen to someone behind them and actually take what they're saying into consideration. Right. I feel like that's not really, because even when I'm being coached, I'm like, you know, when someone's talking to me, I'm like, dude, just shut up. Let me do what I want to. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't, you know, I mean, I respect what you're saying, but I don't think it's optimal or something that I should be doing. But it is nice to know that it's nice to have someone that sees the game from a spectator's perspective behind you, rather than you having all these mental, mental issues of trying to see what's going on and playing at the same time. Yeah, it's very different because, you know, you play and you don't really remember too much of what happened. But then when you go and watch yourself play at home on YouTube or something, you're like, why did I do that? You know, and you would never do something like that when you're playing, but you did it. You know, and it's that you got to have that mental fortitude to allow you to, you know, just clutch it out.
Right. So I'm looking at your shirt. I see the Red Bull logo. And I remember during our Apex 2015 interview, we were talking about this. It's happened, and they've helped you out in a lot of different ways. Oh, yeah. So upon actually becoming the first Red Bull athlete, especially in the Street Fighter scene, how did it feel to you? Were you very, very excited? Did you feel like it had a lot more pressure to you? Because, you know, Red Bull's in everything, not just esports. How did you feel about it?
Well, I was really excited about it, extremely excited, because there was no other Red Bull athlete in Street Fighter. Right. So I felt like I was opening a door into bigger opportunities for Street Fighter, for the FGC. And, you know, once it happened, it took me a while to, you know, actually realize that it's real. You know, it's not a joke. And then, you know, now all these other companies are, you know, following Red Bull and, you know, doing the same or trying to do the same things. And it's just, you know, it makes me feel like an innovator, you know, like now look, you have Bonchan, you have Luffy, you have Daigo, and, you know, I don't think there's any other game where there's any other sport or game where you have 4 Red Bull athletes for that particular game. So, I mean, I feel like the interest is definitely there for Street Fighter V, and that's Street Fighter in general, and that's always a good thing.
And they've done a lot of things for you. I remember, again, going back to our interview, we talked about you going to Japan. You were like, it's definitely in the cards. And obviously, they made a documentary about you, so they definitely helped. They definitely helped out with that. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about what it was like to be in Japan, because we talked about it so much. Was it a humbling experience like everyone else makes it out to be? Did you learn a lot?
Well, you know, before I get into that, you know, living in America, you see how the culture is out here, and then you see how everything is. And then once you start traveling to all these places, you start to see how everyone else is. And it's like, you know, you start to question some of the things that happen in America. And it's just like, really? But that's very eye-opening to be able to travel to all these different places. When I went to Japan, I was shocked at how small everything was. And I was also shocked at how clean everything was, too. You know, like the streets are really clean. The people are really nice. Like if I don't know, if like a lady left like $1 million purse like sitting in the middle of a train station, she could probably come back and it would still be there, even though like 100 people passed by. You know, it's a very interesting place, and the food is amazing. I mean, I love curry, so I mean that's you know, Japan is
curry, my man.
Ramen, curry, like curry is the best though. Yeah, but we're not gonna get into food right now. Yeah,
maybe we'll do that for another interview.
But Japan is amazing, and I went to I went there a few months ago actually, or I think it was 2 months ago. Yeah, recently for a tournament called Rage. Okay. And I was a special guest. It was like really random. Like they had me walk on this big stage with a hood, with a really big like Assassin's Creed hoodie on. And once I got on stage, I was just like, and they were like, what?
Even I'm asking.
Yeah, it was. If you saw it, you'd be like, what? It was just a very funny experience. But yeah, Japan is very humbling. And just being, like, I've been to probably 7. That's more of a realistic number. Different countries. And yeah, it's really nice, man.
So, I mean, you know, a lot of people when they go to Japan, they say like the skill level of every single player there is so high. Like there's a consistent skill level. How was that like for you and playing everyone? I'm sure you played against a lot of top players, but also I'm sure it was a bit difficult considering you play on pad and things like that.
When I first went to Japan, it was a very humbling. That was another humbling experience, you know. You know, here I am winning a lot of tournaments in America, thinking that, I mean, I was relatively good, but I went out there and I'm just like, you know, why is this guy who just came from work in a suit with his legs crossed, smoking a cigarette, giving me such a hard time in a game that I'm pretty good at, you know? Right. And I'm not sure if I don't know who he was. I'm not sure. I don't know who these guys were, you know, multiple people. Right. and I'm not sure, if he was a pro player. He could have been, but there's not that many popular players who play Street Fighter to where every single person in the arcade would be pretty much on my level with every single character you can think of. So I mean, that was very interesting. Another thing was that I've concluded the reason why they're so good is because the flow of competition there is so much different than here. You go into an arcade, you have so many different people to play against. Everyone's good, everyone's serious. There's no a lot of people sort of troll a little in Street Fighter in America. Right. These guys, they're like serious 100% of the time. Okay. They all know the same tech. If there's something that you don't know, in America, you have to really ask around and you have to research it. In Japan, if someone's doing some new tech, everyone is doing it in Japan, and it's so bizarre. It's like they have some kind of like super big Discord or something that they're contacting each other through. Like they're very helpful to each other as a community, unlike us. Unlike FGC people, I mean, I actually share information. But like the internet in Japan is one of the best ways to get better. Like Daigo doesn't even go to anywhere to play; he just plays online. And to have something like, I mean, we have that in a sense where we can play local players and it's okay, but we can't play everyone in the entire country, in the U.S. And that's for Japan being the size of Cali, with the normal average connection being like 100 up and down or 75 up and down. It's pretty ridiculous, to game on, and that's one of the best things that Japan has. Right.
Did you feel like they were as good as people said they were in terms of like, wow, like I'm here and they're up here in terms of their level, or do you really think that there was a gap that was maybe there but very, very manageable and that could be not loosened, that's not the right word, shortened and caught up to?
I definitely don't feel like they were better than me. They definitely weren't. So for example, I was taking more games off of them than they were taking from me. Right. But when I played against the top players, I actually lost more games than I won. So overall, I feel like I'm probably slightly better than the average, decently better than the average player in Japan. Right. But that's them being that close. Them being that close to being as good as me is actually really good, because it's not like they're staying at the same level the entire time we're playing against each other. They're adapting, they're learning, and it's a very growing flow of competition there, and it allows you to get better so fast. I went out there and I used Evil Ryu. I came back and it was like my Evil Ryu was pretty legit. So I mean, I have Japan to thank for that. Yeah. Okay.
And what was it like? I mean, like, not everyone's used to having like a camera crew follow you around and everything like that. So how was it like? How was that like? Because I mean, being someone that's a good Street Fighter player, some people come up to you and say, "Hey, can I have a picture?" or whatever. Yeah. But having a camera crew follow you around, that's definitely something that takes some getting used to. Yeah. What was it like adapting to that? And what did you think of the documentary once it was all finished and done?
When it first happened, I got all these Japanese people looking at me. They probably thought I was Kobe Bryant or something. They don't know. Right. But it was very strange at first. I'm like, you see this happen in movies. You see this happen to celebrities. Right. You may see a documentary every now and then, but you've probably never experienced it for yourself. Right. And then when it happens, you don't really know how to feel the first day. But now, before I talk about that, I felt like I didn't really know how to feel. I was like, I don't want to get in anyone's way. When I'm doing this, and I don't want to come on some. I don't want to record things on certain people's property, and I mean, I didn't know the whole deal, but now it feels like it doesn't even feel like a camera's there anymore. It feels very natural, and the point of it is to capture footage of what's happening. Right. It's not to try to make you nervous or try to embarrass you or something like that. It's just to capture footage. So I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it now. It's very, very straightforward mentality, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. How'd you feel about it, the final product? I know for a lot of it too, they kind of marketed Valle as like your mentor. Was he actually in that role? Kind of. Do you feel like he was really your kind of trainer?
Valle started Wednesday Night Fights, and I was pretty bad at Street Fighter 4 when I first started going there. I was always good in Nation Remix. I mean, that's my thing, you know.
Pretty sure, didn't you win Evo with that?
Yeah.
So it's clear that you were good at the game.
Yeah. Street Fighter 2 in general. Yeah. But yeah, he he provided all of these things. Like if it wasn't for, to be honest, if it wasn't for Wednesday Night Fights, I don't know. I probably wouldn't be as good as I am now. Like the competition there is just, it's ridiculous. But at one point in Street Fighter 4, it was absolutely amazing. You know, you had pretty much every single character you can think of. I mean, everyone wouldn't be on an absolute high level, but they were high enough to where they could get better and then provide you with a better challenge to make you better. So, and then of course you would have to play them back to make them good. It's a very mutual process. So I feel like that was a really good thing that you could capitalize from.
So what'd you think of your documentary?
I felt like I looked at it. You know, I kind of don't like watching myself.
Everyone, it's so weird, right?
Yeah, it's something weird about it. Yeah. It's like you can never be perfect to yourself, you know? Right. It's just really weird watching it, and it's like, you know, before I could finish it, I always end up turning it off. I mean, I've forced myself to watch the entire thing, but I've tried rewatching it, and I was like, no. You know, I felt like I made some mistakes here, and just could have sounded a little better in this department, you know. But yeah, now that I look back at it, though, I look back at it in a way where it captured me in Japan doing all these amazing things, and just a historic moment in the FGC where Capcom Cup was going down, and it was just a great time.
Yep. I mean, it was a great documentary. I personally enjoyed it a lot. It was a really good look to see what it's like to actually go through Japan and that journey. But you mentioned Wednesday Night Fights. This is definitely a good question to ask you because as someone that's gone there, and you were there for when it was there, gone, and then it came back. What kind of effect did it have on the SoCal scene? Was it as severe as some people made it out to be? How did you feel about it? Did you feel like your own game stagnated because you didn't have Wednesday Night Fights?
Oh, when the transition happened from Super Arcade to Esports Arena, and then Watson and Alex Valle split. We were waiting very, very impatiently for the Esports Arena to open, and at the moment it did, like it had so many entrants, and still to this day, like the venue is pretty ridiculous. Like it's like a major. Yeah. It's like a weekly major, you know. Basically. And it's full on esports. You know, you're there with like the big CS:GO and the league, and you got all those games, and yeah, the moment it opened up, we were just so excited, and we went every day, and it's still amazing. It's just a little far away, but well, it's really far now, you know, but especially for me. But yeah, like the times you can come out were worth it, and it didn't feel like that immediately because you can't really tell how good you're getting from each match you play until you play those matches where you're at, and then you go somewhere else and play the people you used to lose to. Then you realize you got a lot better. Right. So that was the great thing about going to Wednesday Night Fights. You know, you weren't sure what you were investing in, but you could see it when you went somewhere else, and it's great.
Okay. I don't think I have anything else to ask you, man. We've done a great interview. Thank you so much. Are there any shout-outs you want to give? Words you want to say to your fans? How can your fans follow you?
Shout-outs to Red Bull. Shout-outs to my fans, you know. You guys can't expect me to play Zangief too much. I got to switch it up every now and then. Yeah, my Twitter is snake_eyes with a Z _. And yeah, that's pretty much it for every social media outlet. But yeah, this tournament was amazing, and I hopefully that we can run more tournaments at convention centers like this, like EGLX, ESL, and yeah, the other tournaments we have. So.
Right. Do you not have a Twitch or Twitch stream?
Yeah, Twitch is snake_eyes with a Z _. Yeah, so it's the same for every single social.
All
Yeah.
I'll link in the description. Don't worry, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned to esportsheaven.com for more coverage of ESL One New York 2016. See you guys.